called you into entrepreneurship, into full-time coaching, why is it that you're still scouring on the ground level instead of actually creating your business to scale on a higher level? On this episode of the Daily Dose, I'm going to be breaking down the fastest way to replace your income, even as a brand new coach. All right. The Daily Dose is divine overflow of spirit-led empowerment. And I help you to transition into coaching full-time without chasing clients, self-sabotaging, or without having to sacrifice time with your family. And right now, you know that God has called you into your next level of business. If he's calling you out of your career into coaching full-time, he's not calling you from where you are now for you to just stay the same, right? He's calling you to elevate, to really be able to scale your business. You're building, as a believer in business, you have to understand that God is calling you higher, to mount up on wings like eagle, as his word tells us in Isaiah. And so it's really important for you to know how to scale your business the right way so that you can replace your income and be able to transition into where God has been calling you as a coach. All right. And so right now, what you're doing is you're probably piecing together a bunch of like one-off sessions. The way I look at it is the way the Lord gave me this revelation was thinking of yourself as an eagle as opposed to pigeons, right? So in New York, growing up in New York, there's like a bunch of pigeons all over the floor, and it's pretty much like survival mode for pigeons. Like they're literally piecing together, pecking at scraps on the ground. And the way the Lord showed me this revelation was really to really help my clients to see how they can scale their business on a higher level. And I'm going to be breaking down the E.A.G.L.E effect, right? So right now, what it looks like for you is you're probably meal piecing a bunch of one-off sessions, right? You're probably charging, I don't know, $100, $200 per session when you know you have an income goal to meet. Instead of doing one-off sessions, we're going to be breaking down the E.A.G.L.E effect. Okay, no more pigeon mentality, no more scarcity, no more scouring around on the ground level. We're taking it up a notch, and we're going to show you how the E.A.G.L.E effect plays a part in you being able to transition into coaching full time. This E.A.G.L.E effect is how I walk my clients into scaling their businesses faster. All right. And so the E in the E.A.G.L.E effect is establish your income goal and your premium offer. All right. So that is the first thing. When new clients come into my program, the very first thing we do is a resignation revenue roadmap. And so in this section, this is our one-on-one session where we actually break down the vision and really be able to see, okay, what is your income goal? How much would you need to be able to transition into coaching full time? So say, for example, your monthly income right now is $6,000, right? That covers your household with your career. And this is just me being conservative, right? So say it's $6,000. With the process that you're doing right now, where you're just charging $100 a session, is forcing you to have to chase after clients week after week. And with 100, if you have to make $6,000 a month, that would be 60 sales per month. And this is why right now it feels so impossible for you to transition, because you're selling these one-off sessions and you're having to come up with so many sales, as opposed to creating a premium offer, which is going to be a 4-figure offer. And then you only have to say, for instance, your offer is $3,000. You only need 2 sales as opposed to 60 sales. Or if it's $200 a session, maybe that'll be 30 sales, but still 30 sales versus 20 versus 2 sales, right? 30 sales versus 2 sales. Like, which one sounds better to you? Which one sounds more more like you'll be able to actually achieve it, right? Like, you got to think of it that way. And so right now what you're doing is you're just meal piecing together. And so what you need to do is you need to craft your premium offer so your income is stable enough to transition into full-time entrepreneurship faster. And this is done by establishing your income goal, and then creating a premium offer. And this is done in the very first module, in the very first week of working together inside of my Business by Belief Accelerator. This is what I help my clients to do. The very first offer you're creating is your premium offer, because this is the offer that's going to allow you to scale faster and be able to transition into coaching full-time faster. All right. And so that is the E. Establish your income goal and premium offer. And so now we're going to move on to the A in the E.A.G.L.E effect. And so the A is anchor your identity in your calling, not your career. And so for a long time, where people would ask me what I did, I would always say, oh, I'm a registered nurse. And I would never call myself a coach. It took me a while, because I always just programmed myself as within the title of my career. And so for a long time, that's what I did. And so it's really important for you to anchor your identity in your calling. God has called you to coach, right? And so for me, I'm a registered nurse turned business coach. And you have to understand, yes, the expertise that you've gained in your career, the experience that you've gained in your career, these things are vital components of you taking that into your coaching career most times. But it's really important that you identify as a coach. All right. For me, it took me a long time to because I'm still a nurse, but it took me a long time to add in, to be okay with calling myself a coach. I don't know what it was. It just took me a while to process that. And it's important for you, if you want to scale faster and transition faster, begin to anchor your identity as a coach. So right now, you're still introducing yourself as the person, as the person that you are in your career, right? And you're saying, okay, yeah, I'm still a nurse, but I'm trying to be a coach. Or yes, I'm still a bank teller, but I'm trying to be a coach. Or I'm still, in my corporate career, whatever that career looks like for you, but I'm trying to become a coach. And no, you have to identify yourself as a coach and anchor in that identity into the calling that God has called you to be. He's called you to coach. And so you need to start to see yourself as such. Okay. So no longer second guessing everything because you've been trained to obey, right? It's almost like the, societal norm is to just follow orders. And it's just like a conditioning to really just follow orders, do what your boss tells you to do. And so you've been conditioned to obey orders as opposed to being a leader. And this is something that is really going to take you rebuilding your identity. All right. Rebuilding your identity as the leader that God has called you to be, the thought leader, the business leader, the entrepreneur, the coach that God has called you to be. And so what you need to do is rebuild your identity at the belief level. So you sell with authority. All right. When you show up to sell your premium offer, you're selling with authority because now your identity has been reprogrammed. Your identity has been rebuilt, right? You have a new belief system because your subconscious mind, which is your core identity, your subconscious mind is your core identity. This drives 95% of your behavior. Okay. So inside of my program, I do have one form. I have so many different frameworks, but one of my frameworks that I have that is so powerful, it's a tool that I use on my coaching sessions. It's the believed behavior blueprint. If your behavior is going to give it away, your behavior is always going to give away what you truly believe, your core beliefs, your core identity, because your beliefs is a manifestation of your behavior is a manifestation of your beliefs. All right. So your subconscious mind, your core identity, your core beliefs drives 95% of your behavior. So you act accordingly to who you believe yourself to be. And so if you constantly say, yeah, I'm trying to be a coach, as opposed to saying, no, I am a coach. When you take on that identity, that is what's going to really propel you into transitioning faster, because now you're showing up and doing the behaviors a full-time coach would do, right? You got to act and do the things that a full-time coach, full-time entrepreneur would be doing in her business. Okay, so that's the A. Anchor to your identity in your calling, not your career. All right, so now we're going to move on to the G, which is Gain magnetic messaging through story selling. I can't stress this enough. It's so important for you to understand how important it is to learn and master the skill of story selling. So right now, your clients aren't responding to you because you're giving a lot of information, right? You're teaching, you're throwing tips and tricks at them, you're motivating, but you're still hearing crickets in your DMs. And it's because you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, right? So you sound smart, but it's not like you are actually truly being seen. So something that I always have my clients do is I always do an exercise where you just close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and just think of your client. Think of who it is that you serve, right? Just really think of them from the heart. Like, get out of your mind when it comes to, get out of your head where it comes to all the tricks, the hooks, the captions, and all the things. Don't focus so much on the strategy because that's only 5% of it. 95% of why your content would resonate with the clients and your audience is from your heart. You want to tune into who you're talking to. You want to have a soul connection, right? Mind, will, emotion, like a real soul to soul, a heart to heart connection with your clients. And this is done through just simply just feeling her, like thinking of where she is right now. What is she currently thinking? What is she currently doing? What is she currently feeling? And when you are able to do that, you're able to share stories that will resonate with her because people connect through emotions. All right. So when you master story selling, this is what's going to happen. Your story becomes the bridge that makes clients say, I need to work with you. They're going to feel so seen because you're able to connect with them through your own story, through stories that you derive from your everyday life. And inside of my coaching program, I teach a CPR story selling method. It's a formula that I've come up with to really help you capsulate stories from anything and bridge it back to your client's needs. And so when you do this, the emotion from the story selling, right? Because when you learn to story sell, your audience doesn't even realize that you're selling because you're just sharing a story that resonates. But when you tell a story, it bypasses the prefrontal cortex, which is the area that you use to like really think and brainstorm, and it's the logical part of your brain, right? That makes decisions. But it surpasses that and it goes to the limbic system, which is where you have your emotions, where your emotional channels are stored. And people, when they're purchasing, when they're making buying decisions, people do what they feel like doing, right? They purchase what they feel like. So when you can invoke emotion through story selling, when people see themselves in your story, this is what activates the emotional charge. That emotion creates frequency, and the frequency that you're putting out, that frequency attracts the match. Okay, so your frequency attracts, think of it as a magnet, right? Your frequency that you're pouring out, it's going to attract and magnetize your audience because of the emotional connection. And so you have to understand and see your message as a magnet. This is how you create magnetic storytelling. It's through your emotion. It's through connecting, knowing what to say, how to say it, why you're saying it, when to say what you're saying, right? This is all taught and mastered inside of my coaching curriculum. All right. And so that is the G. Okay. Gain magnetic messaging through story selling. All right. We're going to jump into the L. And so the L is leverage a simplified sales funnel. All right. If you want to scale your business fast, the fastest way to replace your income as a new coach is leveraging a simplified sales funnel. Okay. So right now you're mill piecing. You don't have a sales funnel, or if you do have one, it's probably overly complicated and your clients are getting lost through all the open loops that you have in your sales funnel. You want to make it as simple as possible. Okay, as simple as possible. So what you're going to do is, in the third module, so the first module of my Business by Belief Accelerator, we create your signature framework and your premium offer. The second phase is where we master story selling. This is where you refine your messaging to align with your purpose, and we're able to scale your business through magnetic story selling. And then the third phase is where we create your simplified sales funnel. And here is where we build out a 3-part funnel. All right. So you probably know this already, but the top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. But what we do is we simplify it and we scale it down. Okay. So your top of funnel, you're going to choose a platform, your premium, your main platform that you're going to be showing up on for visibility. Okay. The middle of funnel, you're going to create an automated presentation, which I show you how to do. And in this automated presentation, it's a one-to-many presentation. So you can send people to this masterclass or workshop. It's going to be a one-to-many so that people can see your framework. Or you're going to actually pull a piece of your framework out and present that in your workshop or your masterclass. Or you can do a one-to-one if you want to do a one-to-one, but I recommend doing automated so that when you are, so your sales funnel is operating on automation, right? So it's the middle of the night, someone's up at night, they can't sleep because they have a problem that you actually solve. They see your post on social media, they click into that automated presentation, they like what they see, they apply. Now they're at the bottom of your funnel for your premium offer. So this is the E.A.G.L.E effect, right? So you are no longer piecing together a bunch of random sessions or lowballing yourself. You're creating one premium offer. This is the first thing we're doing, creating one premium offer. And this premium offer is what you're going to sell. You're bringing everyone to this premium offer. This is the premium offer that you're going to sell. And this is what's going to allow you to transition into coaching full time. When you create a simplified sales funnel like this, sales flow while you rest. All right. And so it's really important for you to leverage a simplified sales funnel so that you can transition into coaching full time faster. All right. So the last letter in the E.A.G.L.E effect that I want to break down for you is the E, which is to embody safety as you scale. So as a registered nurse turned business coach, I understand how your body works. Okay. I've gone through extensive studies on learning how just the anatomy and the physiology of how God created us, the chemical reactions, the way in which we've been programmed to work. Right. And so when you understand how your automatic nervous system is controlled by your subconscious mind, you will then understand the importance of your belief system. And this is why I teach what I teach in regards to really being able to regulate your nervous system. But before you even start regulating your nervous system, it's so important for you to reprogram your subconscious programming, your subconscious mind. You have to think of your mind as like a computer database. If you have old programming subconsciously still stored there from decades ago, maybe in your childhood, you were told you weren't good enough, maybe you were teased, maybe you were bullied, this will cause you to shrink back when it's time for you to show up to be visible and sell in your business. That top of funnel where you're showing up to be visible, you're going to continue to shrink back because you have some limiting beliefs there, some subconscious programming from your childhood. And this is why I have tools that I use. I have my root system that I use to really get to the root of some of your limiting beliefs, some money blocks you might have. What is the root? We uproot it and we replace it with the word of God. We uproot it and we replace it with the truth of God. And then you're able to embody the identity that God has given to you. It's one thing to have goals and aspirations, but it's another thing to actually feel safe taking the action to achieve those goals, right? Like I often say this, your business will only scale to the level of your belief systems and your body safety. If you don't feel safe, if you don't believe that you're safe to hold and sustain the business that God has given to you, you're going to continue to self-sabotage. And so when you're procrastinating before posting, you have to understand that procrastination is just a symptom. It's a symptom to the deep-rooted problem. And the problem is typically a broken belief there that you have. And so we do the work to really be able to uproot those beliefs. And also in the midst of that, we're going to be doing the work for you to feel safe with my SAFE protocol, which is another 4-step process. Right? So we have systems, processes, but that's really going to help you be able to scale, because you have to feel safe to scale. All right. So right now, what it looks like you're doing is you're shrinking back when it's time to quote your price, or maybe you're restarting every Monday. You're like, I'll start again next Monday, or I'll try again next week. And then next week turns into next month, and next month turns into 6 months from now. And then 6 months from now turns into a whole nother year. We're already at the tail end of this year. Where did the year go? Right? You told yourself this was the year you were transitioning into coaching full time. And a year later, you're still here. And so it's really important that you understand, you learn these tools. So when you learn nurse back nervous system regulation tools, your body feels safe being still. You'll stop striving for results and start embodying the belief that your success is already in motion. You have to believe that. Okay? You got to believe this. You got to believe in your heart of hearts. And the way you know that you believe it is through your actions. It's through your behavior. It's through your embodiment. And we regulate your nervous system so you feel safe. You feel safe showing up. You feel safe executing what it is that you've put on your to-do, because you'll continue to procrastinate if you don't. All right. And so that is the E.A.G.L.E effect. All right. That's the E.A.G.L.E effect. Inside of the Business by Belief Accelerator, we go through this process together. I help you to transition into coaching full time without chasing clients, without fighting the algorithm, without self-sabotaging, or without having to sacrifice time with your family, right? Because this is why we're building our business, to have more, to be present with our family, right? And so I want to invite you to apply for the Business by Belief Accelerator. The link is in the description. But overall, this is it. This is the fastest way to replace your income as a new coach. It's the E.A.G.L.E effect. This is the way I help my coaches. This is the way I help my clients. It's like you have to stop meal piecing together and scrapping together and being in survival mode like pigeons, scouring around on the ground level, and start to soar like an eagle. When you have a clear vision, you're able to now soar. Eagles, they have a destination. They know where they're going. So the E is establish your income goal and your premium offer. The A, anchor your identity in your calling, not your career. You've got to start showing up and calling yourself the coach that God has called you to be. G is gain magnetic messaging through story selling. When you master this, your content, the frequency of the stories that you're going to share out, the frequency of your emotions that you're pouring out is going to literally magnetize your audience to you. They're going to be reaching out. I need to work with you, right? And then the L is leveraging a simplified sales funnel. Simplicity scales, complexity fails. If your sales funnel is too complex, your finances will show that, all right? You want to draw in and call in income with ease, not overly complicated. All right. So leverage a simplified sales funnel. It's going to be better for you and better for your clients. And then finally, the last E is embody safety as you scale. All right. All right. So that's what I have for you. That is what I have for you. This is the fastest way to transition and to replace your income as a new coach. I pray this has been a blessing to you. I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. I'm going to tell you, just as God told me, put one foot in front of the other, step out on faith, and trust God for the next step. I'll see you in the next episode of The Daily Dose. Bye.